Andy Johnson. We are looking at direct instruction as it applies to literacy. Direct instruction is a tool, an effective tool, but not an approach. Direct instruction is instruction that goes directly from the teacher to the learner. Now, everybody believes in direct instruction. It's not the what of direct instruction, but the how and the how much of direct instruction, in which people have different ideas. For literacy, direct instruction is a tool, an important tool, but it is not a method. Direct instruction is good for basic skills and low-level knowledge and concepts, but not necessarily for high-level skills and concepts. Any tool's effectiveness is determined by how it's used. You do not use a screwdriver to pound nails. If direct instruction is the only tool you have or use for literacy instruction, especially for struggling readers, you will be extremely limited in your ability to help them reach their full potential. Teachers need many tools in their pedagogical toolbox. Now, there is no such thing as the magical program, the method, the approach that works best for all students all the time. There are, however, magical teachers. These are teachers who are knowledgeable, creative, committed, and compassionate. These are teachers that have 4 types of knowledge. They have knowledge of the content they are teaching, pedagogical knowledge or strategies, pedagogical content knowledge. They know how to teach specific subjects like reading, math, science, writing, and knowledge of learners and learning, educational psychology, theories, that sort of thing. Now, the holiest of whole language teachers, that would be me, neurocognitive teachers believe in very direct instruction. This is instruction that is used directly in the context of which the skill is used. In the context of real reading and writing, you teach the skill. Guided reading lesson plans are often used here, where small groups are used to teach a skill in the context of a real story or a real writing activity. Beware of the clowns who make silly universal claims about direct instruction based on limited data. Direct instruction is effective for low-level skills. It is a tool, one of many tools, not an approach. If this is the only tool in your teaching toolbox, you are extremely limited. These are the components. We'll look at each one. Clearly defined objectives. You define exactly what you're going to teach. Start with a goal. We're going to teach the short A sound. Put it in the form of a behavioral objective. Students will be able to identify words with the short A sound. I can say yes or no in terms of if they have learned that, and then figure out how you are going to assess how do you know students have learned. Learning here is clearly defined. We are going to teach a short A. That's what it is. That is this learning experience. The second part, it has well-organized lessons. The experience is planned. There's a sequence of information. The questions and activities are all described and put in order so that you can maximize time on task and academic learning time. Time on task, the time students are actively engaged. Academic learning time, actively engaged at a successful level. Good planning doesn't have to be long, complex, or cumbersome to be effective. More doesn't mean more learning. Complexity doesn't mean more rigor. Simple is often the most effective. The third part is input. This is the information or knowledge, the specific steps. Here is what you need to know. You have modeling and examples. It's organized so that it can be easily assimilated. Students can see the structure. You have graphic organizers and advanced organizers, and you try to prevent things in smaller bits so that it's less taxing on working memory. Say a little bit, do a little bit. That is the magic formula. Guided practice, you go through the skill all together. You are providing a scaffold so students can practice the input with your help. And it gives you a chance for formative assessment as learning is forming to see if your students are doing it. Boys and girls, let's do this one together. And you can see if all students have got the skill. Independent practice practice of what has already been learned. Homework or in-class activities. The ratio should be 95 to 100% success ratio. That is your goal. The goal is to practice learning and to apply learning, not to measure. If you're doing your job, independent practice, homework should be practice of what has already been learned. You don't use homework to challenge students. And then, you do not assume mastery in a single lesson. Nobody masters anything with one exposure. You have to revisit, review, and reapply at successively higher levels. You touch the skill and you learn it more in depth. These are the elements of direct instruction. I just covered them. Tips. Keep instruction short and briskly paced. The goal of reading instruction is to help students create meaning with print, not to master these cockamamie skills. 70 to 80% of reading class should be engaged in reading practice. 20 to 30% of reading class skills instruction. And use direct instruction in the context of authentic reading and writing to the greatest extent possible. Remember, direct instruction is a tool, not an approach.